Hi, this is Sherry Gallagher with Technicon Company Incorporated, and this video is going to cover customer-related processes and a bit of Section 8.2 monitoring and measurement. Customer-related processes is fairly straightforward, so that's why we're going to add the sections of 8.2 monitoring and measurement, because they do relate. They are Section 8.2.1 feedback, 8.2.2 customer complaints, and 8.2.3 reporting to regulatory authority. Now, when we start out with customer-related processes, ISO 13485 requires the organization to determine the customer needs, review the needs before accepting the order, and communicate with the customer. That's it. That's a whole ball of wax. So the first step is to define the requirements. You need to know what the customer wants. If finished medical devices have undergone clinical studies, the customer's options are limited to those addressed in the study. However, the customer may specify delivery requirements and post-delivery activities such as a service contract or user training. If the device is a component, the customer has some more freedom to modify a standardized part. As the manufacturer, you must define the requirements not stated by the customer, but you know are required for the intended use. For example, the customer plans on using the device in Paris, France. You know that the device must run on 50 Hz instead of 60 Hz if they were going to use it in North America. As the manufacturer, your organization is expected to be the expert in regulatory requirements for the product you make. You hold the responsibility, not the customer. You need to be fluent in conflict mineral regulations if your part is a PC board. The customer does not need to know that information. They're just buying a board and putting it in into their product. The purchase order from the customer must define the expected user training and the plan to perform that training. Any requirements not covered under all these other things, you've got to include. Now, once the requirements are determined, they must be reviewed prior to communicating acceptance to the customer. This review and any action or amendment must be documented. The review should verify the requirements are clearly defined. In many cases, the easiest method to do this is to have the customer order by part number and revision level. Differences between the customer's purchase order and what your organization can manufacture must be resolved, and this includes the delivery activities and post-delivery activities. User training must be planned and available if required. If a machined or stamped part is ordered, then obviously you probably don't need training. On the other hand, if you are presenting an electronic device, there may be training involved. The review must confirm the requirements can be met, including those not stated by the customer but your organization is aware of, to have the product work properly. For example, a replacement joint may need a specific surface finish. The manufacturer would be aware of this requirement, but the physician, the customer, most likely would not. Documentation must be amended to reflect any necessary changes prior to communicating acceptance of the order to the customer. You must document the final agreed upon requirements. Once the requirements have been determined and reviewed, it is time to communicate with a customer. Now, customer communication must be planned and documented. The easiest method is to use a procedure. The plan must communicate the product information, the part number, and any other requirement, usually in an acknowledgement or an email, but you can use whatever form as long as it follows your procedure. There is other communication your organization must communicate to the customer, and the procedure or procedures should address how inquiries and contracts are handled, including amendments. It is also your organization's responsibility to collect and document customer feedback. Customer feedback can come from a survey or a documented feedback from training related to purchase orders or sales personnel documenting customer feedback in interviews. Complaints are negative feedback and usually have a specific definition by most regulatory authorities, so it's important to collect both positive and negative feedback. Feedback must be documented as well as the method for gathering the feedback. If there are regulatory requirements to gain experience from post-production activities, these must be documented as well. Feedback is a potential input to your risk management, as well as a source of improvement and ideas for future products. Now let's focus on complaints. Your organization must have a documented procedure for how complaints are handled in a timely manner and how compliance to regulatory requirements are accomplished. In many cases, I see clients referencing that they will follow the procedures on the FDA or Health Canada websites and give a link to the page in the procedure. It's not a bad idea. It keeps them current. The complaint handling procedure must include how complaints are received and the information is recorded. How to determine if the feedback constitutes a complaint. It might need to be handled under positive feedback. How complaints will be investigated. Who is responsible for the investigation and how long do they have to do the investigation? How to determine the need and method of reporting. Do you need to report to regulatory? That's key. Addressing related products. Do you need to recall products? Do you need to quarantine product in the warehouse? What is the effect on work and process? You need to determine the need to initiate corrective action. Not all complaints may require corrective action. You need to justify any complaint that is not investigated. Not investigating is a reasonable response, although the knee-jerk reaction is everything must be investigated. But you must be able to explain why no investigation was needed. Finally, the exchange of information to external parties contributing to the complaint must be handled in the procedure. Now, this could be giving feedback to a supplier or even to a customer. So, why a customer? Well, think about it if they are using the equipment improperly and that's what caused the issue. Your organization must have a documented procedure for reporting to regulatory. It can be part of another procedure such as complaints, but the action must be documented and anyone who could take a complaint should be trained on how to find the procedure quickly and follow it. This staff should also be trained on how to determine if the complaint is an adverse event or requires the issuance of an advisory notice, and or who to contact and how swiftly they must act if they think they have received this type of complaint. Again, referencing the regulatory website is the best way to stay up with the current practice requirements. Of course, your organization must maintain detailed records providing evidence the regulatory requirements have been met. There you have ISO 13485 2016, Customer-Related Processes and a bit of monitoring and measurement. I hope you found this and the related videos helpful. If you did, please like them. If you need additional help, please check out our website, www.technicon.com, or email me at technicon1986@sbcglobal.net, or call 708-814-3685. Go out and have a wonderful day.